Good evening, everyone. I am Zach from the Lumios Post, where of course we talk about all things Pokemon. For today's video, I suggest that you lock the doors, you maybe turn the lights on, lift your feet up so they're not dangling off the couch or bed, because this is a spooky one. Cuddle with a blanket, whatever you need to do, the whole 9 yards. We often on this channel explore the world of Pokemon, and it is a phenomenal, magical world. I think when we think of Pokemon, we think exactly that, just magical creatures with extraordinary powers. But seldom do we think about how terrifying the Pokemon world truly is. Aside from the fact that you have Pokemon like Salamence that could easily kill you, with no trouble. You also have Pokemon that, by Pokemon standards, are truly horrifying. In the spirit of the spooky season and Halloween being right around the corner now, we're going to dive into some of these tales of these Pokemon, some of these interesting stories behind these Pokemon, how they come to be, how they live their lives, all of these things. So, without further ado, once again, I suggest you make yourself feel as secure as possible, because we are about to dive into the truly terrifying world of Pokemon. Today's story is about the ghost and grass type Pokemon Phantump, specifically a peculiar Phantump that seems to have the ability to talk. Also in this story, we focus on a young man named Sterling. Sterling is really young, but he dreams of being a Pokemon trainer, and he's absolutely fascinated with Pokemon. Now, normally we're used to this fascination of Pokemon blossoming into a great trainer, a champion, maybe even a professor, something phenomenal. But today you'll learn that this fascination with Pokemon can prove to be a very deadly one. It was a long drive from Sterling's grandparents' house in Snowbell all the way back to Lumio City, but Sterling enjoyed it. He liked to see the snow gradually melt away, the beautiful orange and brown leaves covering the ground, and the eerie yet beautiful, enchanting woods next to the road. Sterling especially loved this part of the drive, as he'd sometimes see Fungus, Stantler. One time, he was even lucky enough to see an Ursaring and 2 Teddy Ursa. So on this drive back, his eyes were glued to the window. "Dear," his mother spoke up from the front passenger seat, "the sun is beginning to set. Most of the Pokemon are already settled back into their homes. It's a long drive, and you should start sleeping so you get your rest, too. No Pokemon will be out." "Well," said his father from the front driver's seat, "you could see some ghost-type Pokemon." Sterling's mom shuddered. "Don't even joke about that. You know I hate ghost types." As if on cue, there was a loud pop from the car. Sterling's father pulled over. "And the tire's flat," he declared after getting out of the car. "No worries, though. I'll call a 24-hour roadside repair company. Might take them a bit to reach us out here, though, with how far out we are." "If we're here for a while, can I get out of the car?" Sterling asked. "I want to stretch my legs." "Yeah, champ. Stay near the car, though, okay?" Sterling got out, looked around at some of the Pokemon tracks he could see. He knew them well. He loved Pokemon. Zigzagoon, Stantler, a bird Pokemon, Pidgey, maybe Fletchling. He even saw Ursaring tracks. He continued looking around for a bit. His dad was on the phone with the repair company at this point. It had been a while, so he was checking to see how much longer it would be. His mom was on the phone with his grandmother, no doubt trying to keep her mind off the ghost Pokemon his father had mentioned. As the sun continued to set, Sterling stared at the woods. It was almost like staring into a cave. Even with the sun still piercing the sky, the woods were so thick they looked pitch black. But then, a light? No, a flame. A purple flame. It first was floating, but then began moving in a circle. Then more appeared. This couldn't be an illusion from Zorua or Zoroark, could it? Sterling had heard they lived in the Winding Woods. The chance to see such a rare and cool Pokemon couldn't be passed up by a future trainer such as himself. So Sterling picked himself up and slowly approached the flames. They moved further and further back into the woods. Sterling followed. And then all of a sudden, they vanished. In their place stood a pumpkaboo, a small-sized one, very cute, but definitely not a Zorwa or Zoroark. Sterling realized the flames he saw must have been the work of Pumpkaboo's will-o-wisp. With a sigh, he turned around to head back to the car. But then he found himself at a pond. A pond wasn't here before, and he had only walked a straight path in the woods. He was sure of it. Maybe he missed the pond before. He kept trekking. Then, before him was a large tree, overgrown with mushrooms so big they looked like the max mushrooms from the Galar region he saw on TV. That definitely wasn't here before. A little more panicked, Sterling kept walking. Same pond from before? How? He was walking in the opposite direction of it. Fear really began to set in now. It was dark. The woods were so thick, Sterling didn't even know if the sun had set or if it was just so dark in the woods. He kept running and running and running, but he kept ending up at the same pond. He decided on another direction and ran and ran and ran, and then he woke up. He was lying in the grass. Looked around. There were flowers, more of the trees. He was still in the woods. Behind him was a large cliff. "Are you all right?" a voice called to him. He looked up and knew the Pokemon instantly. It was a Phantom. "Are you all right?" it asked again. "You seem like you were having a bad dream." "What? You can talk?" Sterling asked, startled. Again, Sterling knew everything about Pokemon. He had to. After all, he had plans to become the Kalos champion one day. But he knew for a fact that Phantom couldn't talk. Yeah, the Phantom responded. It seemed as confused by Sterling's shock as Sterling was of its ability to speak. Sterling shook his head, figuring this was some kind of miracle. No Pokemon would know these woods better than a Phantom. Their evolved form Trevenant practically ran the place. So a talking one, and a seemingly friendly one at that, would definitely be a huge help in getting him back to the car. "No, I'm not all right," Sterling told the Phantom. "I need your help. There's a road that runs by here. I need to get there. My family and their car is there." "Ooh, like your trainer?" Despite the circumstances, Sterling chuckled. Being a Pokemon, the Phantom only knew humans to be Pokemon trainers. So a small kid such as Sterling had to belong to one of those trainers. "Something like that," he responded with a bit of a laugh. "Do you know the road?" "Of course," replied the Phantom excitedly. "Right this way." The Phantom led him over a little ways until they were at the pond once more. Only this time, in view and only just a few yards away was the road. Sterling's parents, their car, and now even the repair crew was here. With flashlights aimed at the woods, his mother and father were frantically calling for him. Sterling felt a lump in his throat. He thought he was scared. He could only imagine how terrified his parents were. Sterling sprinted their way as fast as they can, the Phantom he met being a curious Pokemon right on his tail. As he came out from the clearing, his mother dropped her flashlight, shaking, pointing towards them and gasping. Sterling couldn't help but smile. His mom was so scared of ghost types that, of course, the thing she focuses on emerging from the woods is the Phantom, not her lost son. "Mariana, go!" one of the repairmen yelled, sending out the bite Pokemon. The Mariana looked fierce, and the Phantom behind Sterling yelled, "Let's get out of here," bolting back into the forest. Wanting to thank his new friend for his help, Sterling chased after him. "Wait!" he called. He chased him down to the pond, Phantom continuing to fly across it. Sterling stopped at the edge of the pond and yelled to it, "I just want to—" He froze. It fit him. Why the Phantom could speak. It couldn't really speak. He just could understand it now. He must have fallen that cliff. He had to have fallen. He looked down at the pond, and instead of seeing his face staring back at him, in his reflection he saw a Phantom. My sincerest congratulations to those of you who were able to make it through that bone-chilling story. While the Pokemon world is often thought of one filled with wonder and magic and friendship and all the fun, warm words, we see today that there are some truly terrifying things behind this world. I mean, a Pokemon born from the lost soul of a child. A little dark when you think about the fact that we capture these things and then force them to do battle, right? Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you think the most terrifying backstory for a Pokemon is. I definitely think that Phantomp is a candidate in this one. I mean, again, it's the soul of a child that died in the woods. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, as we'll be having some more spooky stories as we go through October, and well, you don't want to miss that, so be sure to hit that bell. Until next time, I will see all of you later.